My name is Andreas Korgto. I am 20 years old. I stand 162 centimeters tall and I have brown hair and brown eyes. I was born in Skrybėnai in Jonava County in the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. I am in prison now. The guard has given me some paper. It is time to start a journal and tell my story. Lithuania is an old country, and the boundaries have changed a lot over time. When I was a small child, the Polish Commonwealth and the Grand Duchy of Lithuania became part of Prussia and Russia, and my country disappeared. All over Europe, countries were trying to gain territory and expand their empires. The strong countries were France, Britain, and Russia. The weak countries, like Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, had to form alliances with the big countries or risk being swallowed up as armies overran their territory. In 1807, Napoleon, the Emperor of France, made peace with Russia in the Treaty of Tilsit, signed at Tilsit on the Nemunas River. The people of the Grand Duchy were happy. Napoleon promised us that we would be able to govern ourselves and form our own country again. Many Lithuanians joined up when he asked for men to join his armies to aid his cause, and I was one of them. I became a member of the Vistula Legion. We fought for Napoleon in Italy and Spain. We won many battles and lost a few, but Napoleon never gave us the independence he had promised. Many of us were disillusioned, and some of us deserted the French and went over to the other side. I was not one of them, but stayed with the Vistula Legion. And despite winning so many battles, some, like me, were captured by the British in Spain and Italy. August 10th, 1810, Portsmouth, England. Our prison is an old ship, one of many in the harbor at the English city of Portsmouth. It is a horrible way to live. The ship is just an old hulk, dark, damp, and dirty. It is cold in winter, and there's never enough food to eat. Sometimes the guards are okay, but mostly they are cruel. I have heard that there is a way out of this filthy prison. The British are looking for men to serve in their army to fight for them. The recruiter for the foreign regiments will be here tomorrow. I already think I will join up. What do I have to lose? August 11th, 1810. The recruiter has been here and offered me a place in the de Watteville Regiment. He promised us food and proper clothing. There is even a regimental school where the men who don't already know how will learn to read and write. After 7 years, I'll be able to go home if I want to. All I have to do is fight, and that's what I've been doing all my adult life. First, we'll go to Sicily, which is warm. April 6th, 1813, Spain. It has been almost 3 years since I joined the de Watteville Regiment. We have fought many battles in Italy and Spain, but our 7 years are not over, and we still aren't going home. Instead, they've put us on ships at Cadiz, and we are sailing to Canada. There is another war there being fought between Britain and the United States. Our regiment has a good reputation. We've fought well against Napoleon here in Spain in what the British call the Peninsular War, but Napoleon is losing now, and we can be better used in North America. While we are sailing, I shall write a little about my regiment. It is owned by a wealthy man from Switzerland named Louis de Watteville, so we are called the de Watteville Regiment. Our officers are Swiss too, but the ordinary soldiers are from everywhere in Europe: Italy, France, Russia, Germany, Poland, and the Grand Duchy. The regiment has a contract to fight for the British, as they do not have enough soldiers of their own to fight both Napoleon and the Americans. There are lots of us Lithuanians here. Some of us were prisoners, some of us deserted Napoleon to join the British. That does not matter to our officers. They treat us all the same. The Americans declared this war because Britain has blocked French ports and American ships cannot get in to trade American goods. Even though Britain lost the American Revolution, the British will stop American ships in international waters and remove American sailors who might have deserted from the British Navy. The Americans want to expand into the West, where they want to stop the British, who are supporting the indigenous peoples, by supplying arms to the tribes. I've looked at a map. Canada is huge. How are we going to defend this land? There are not many roads. Perhaps we'll just sail up the St. Lawrence River to Lake Ontario. June 7th, 1813, Quebec City, Lower Canada. I'm not usually lucky, but today is different. Today we arrived at Quebec City. The voyage over was pretty calm and we were soon over our seasickness. We stopped at Halifax first, but we stayed only a week and then we set sail again. This time we had a storm and we lost sight of the other ships, but eventually we all got safely to Quebec. But no fun for us. We are now going to Kingston in Upper Canada, where we will be building fortifications at Point Henry. The St. Lawrence River is full of rapids. The officers plan to sail as far as they can, but we will still be marching 290 kilometers. It seems we spend our whole lives stuck on ships or marching. October 5th, 1813, Kingston, Upper Canada. Horrible news. My friends Michael Paulus and Michael Dabasavicius have been captured by the Americans. They were in the flank companies sent to York because the Americans were going to invade again. When they got to York, the information had changed. The American soldiers were collecting at Sackett's Harbour, across Lake Ontario from us here in Kingston. So the flank companies were immediately sent back by small ship. Escort ships, which would have protected them, did not arrive in time, and the Americans captured all the transport ships except for one. Only 44 men escaped. We hear the rest of them have been marched to a prison depot at Pittsfield in Massachusetts. This is a bad thing for us. The flank companies were the best soldiers in the regiment. Some were the big men we used for assaults, and the others, small, fast men, we use as scouts. We'll be reforming these companies. Perhaps I will try for a place. May 8th, 1814, Kingston, Upper Canada. So much has happened since I last wrote in this journal. Adam Sokolsky died, and 6 of the Grand Duchy soldiers have deserted. They probably went to the United States. It is so close to us here in Kingston. We've been working on the fort at Point Henry. It is hard, boring work, but we will be safer when it is finished. I can't sleep tonight. We've just won the shortest battle we've ever fought. 5 days ago, we went on board ship to sail across the lake to attack the Americans at their fort at Oswego, New York. Even though Oswego is close to Kingston, it took us more than a day to get there because the winds were not in our favor. Then there was a long delay while we prepared for battle the evening of May 5th. We could see the Americans in the fort madly packing up supplies and moving them away so we couldn't capture them. A storm blew up and we were blown offshore again. The Navy was finally able to move us in close, around noon the next day. Then into small boats which headed in at the bottom of the hill where the fort was. We had to get out of the boats and wade through waist-deep water. That wet our gunpowder, so some of our muskets did not work. But no matter, Colonel Fisher let us in, and in 15 minutes it was over. We had won. We lost a few men. My friend Gottfried Hillert was wounded in the battle, and even though he was carried to a boat, he did not survive. He would have been so proud of our victory. August 14th, 1814, outside Fort Erie, Upper Canada. It is 3 months since I last wrote in my diary. As I write this, it is the day before our next big battle. We are camped in the woods near Fort Erie, close to Lake Erie and the Niagara River in Upper Canada. A month ago, the Americans captured the fort, and now we have to get it back. We've been camped here for several days, waiting for the Americans to come out and fight. Living conditions outside the fort are pretty bad. It's been raining all summer, and many of us are sick. The English complain a lot and aren't very good at camping this way, but we Lithuanians have done well. We gather herbs in the woods and make soup with a small amount of food the British can give us. We've already been attacked by the Americans several times. Anton Kasidka, who was one of the GDLs, was killed, but we've been able to put our cannon in the woods and use them to keep the Americans inside the fort until we are ready. Now is the time to take the fort back in battle. Rumors are flying through the camp. The British commander, Lieutenant General Drummond, does not trust us. Quite a few soldiers have had enough and have deserted to the Americans. My friends Jacob, Matthias, and Anton have disappeared this way. Drummond doesn't trust us at all, and has told us we may not have the flintlocks for our muskets. He's afraid we will ruin the attack's surprise by firing as we advance. He expects us to attack the Americans only with our bayonets. We de Wattevilles are a proud lot, and much better soldiers than Drummond knows. When our colonel, Victor Fisher, asked us to volunteer for a mission so dangerous it is called a forlorn hope, so many of us stepped forward that he had his choice of who to take. This suicide mission will go around to the riverside of the fort and attack up a slope to take the American guns at the top of the hill. Colonel Fisher will take the rest of us to attack the southern end of the fort. To cross the walls, we've been given ladders to use to climb up and over. It's dark now, almost 2 a.m. Time to go. August 15th, 1814, outside Fort Erie. The battle is over, and we are back in the woods. We lost so many men, not just we Lithuanians, but the British too. The Americans knew we were coming and were ready for us. Our ladders were too short, and it was almost impossible to attack in the south. We tried 5 times and failed, so Colonel Fisher took us round to the riverside of the fort, and we got mixed up with the forlorn hope. Some of our men were swept into the river in the dark. 7 of our GDL friends are missing, and we think they may have become American prisoners. Remember the 2 Michaels who were captured with the flank companies? They've been captured again. Despite all this, Drummond is blaming us. He should think about his plan for this battle. It was he who put us in such danger. The Americans still have the fort. We are out of supplies. I hear that Drummond is going to give up and start the retreat from here. It cannot come fast enough. September 18th, 1814. Still outside Fort Erie. We are still in the woods. We are ready to go to Fort George for the winter, but the carts have not arrived to take our gear. Yesterday was a terrible day. We de Wattevilles were guarding the camp in the pouring rain. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the Americans attacked us. The fighting was hard. They were so strong. Joseph Mantell was killed, and Thomas Rossack took a musket ball in his left leg. 9 more GDLs, including Adam Makioshides, became American prisoners. But the English came to help, and the Americans were pushed back to the fort. It is a good thing we are leaving in the next couple of days. January 1st, 1815. Fort George, Niagara-on-the-Lake, Upper Canada. We are at Fort George. This Canadian winter is terribly cold and snowy. We stay close to the fire to stay warm and only go out to get more firewood, if we can find it. But there is a rumor that peace has been negotiated, and the war will finally be over. I have been fighting for so long. What will I do next? I only know how to be a soldier. June 15th, 1816, Kingston, Upper Canada. It is a long time since I wrote in this journal, and so much has happened. The war is finally over. First, we went to Sorel, near Montreal. There we waited for our friends who were prisoners to come back to the regiment. Then we marched back here to Kingston. The regiment has been disbanded here in Canada. As of today, I am no longer a soldier in the British Army, but I survived all the battles, and I am a free man. Now I have a choice to make. The British will send me home to Lithuania if I want to go, but I have not been home since I was a teenager. Why would I go back there? My friends are all in the army here. The British have offered me 100 acres of free land to farm here in Canada. It's all covered in trees and that I would have to cut down, and then I would have to grow a crop. I'm not a farmer. I want more adventure than sitting and watching the wheat grow. When we were on our way to Montreal, we ran into a Scotsman named Lord Selkirk. He's trying to create a settlement in the west, and his people are being attacked by some fur traders from the Northwest Company, who are competing against the Hudson's Bay Company. People are getting killed. He wants some of us to capture the Northwest Company's trading post at Fort William to persuade the fur traders to stop attacking. Then we can escort the settlers west and get better land in his settlement. This sounds like an adventure worth doing. July 23rd, 1821, the Red River Colony. So much time has passed. We de Wattevilles and some old soldiers from the de Meuron Regiment have been here in the Red River Colony west of Canada for 5 years now. I would like to say it has been a good adventure, but it hasn't been. Watching wheat grow here is just as boring as I thought it would be back in Kingston. We did capture Fort William, but the courts made us give it back. The settlers who we protect do not like us. They say we drink too much and we're rowdy. They may be right. You have to do something for entertainment. And it is dangerous here. Although we have met the famous Indian chief Pegwis, and Lord Selkirk has made a treaty with the tribes who live in this area, we're afraid of the Indians as well as of the fur traders. Some of the Swiss and the de Meurons have already gone south to the Minnesota Territory of the United States, where it might be safer. June 24th, 1826, the Red River Colony. This will be the last entry in my Canadian journal. This spring there was a great flood, the biggest ever seen in this area. My homestead was washed away. My cows, pigs, and horses are all gone. The entire colony is completely covered in water. This is not the first time the Red River has flooded, and it won't be the last. So, like so many of my friends, I'm going south to the Minnesota Territory to start over. It has been an interesting time, fighting first for Napoleon and being captured, getting out of the prison hulk to fight for the British, then on a ship to Canada, fighting here and then meeting Lord Selkirk and Pegwis, and now I am starting again. Who knows, maybe watching wheat grow in Minnesota can be exciting.